Well, hello again everybody, and continuing with the theme of Greek tragedies, we come today to probably the most famous tragedy of them all, Oedipus Tyrannos, Oedipus Rex, Oedipus the King, written by Sophocles, probably produced 430–429 BC in Athens. This was a very significant time, of course, because Athens was at the beginning of its Great War with Sparta, the worst war that man had ever known, according to Thucydides, but it was also the year in which plague had hit Athens, and the Athenian leader Pericles was trying to lead his people out of a crisis, but the plague finished him off too. Now, this significant thing about the plague here is, of course, that at the beginning of the play, Oedipus, the city of Thebes, which kind of stands for Athens, is beset by a plague. The enemy's at the gates. There's a strong leader. Pericles in Athens was either dead or dying. In Oedipus, he's not dead or dying, he's revered by his people. One of the things about the play is its warning about the power invested in our leaders. How much power should they have? How should they behave? And one of the things that comes clearly out of the play is that even if you revere your leader, there might be something that you don't know about them, something, a skeleton in the cupboard. And in Oedipus's case, sure as hell there's skeletons in his cupboard. At the beginning of the play, he's revered by his people. And early on, this is what a priest of Apollo says of him. So now again, Oedipus, king, we bend to you your power. We implore you, all of us on our knees, find us strength, rescue. Perhaps you've heard the voice of a god or something from other men. Oedipus, what do you know? The man of experience, you see it every day. His plans will work in a crisis, his first of all. So the people of Thebes revere their leader Oedipus. He's solved their problems in the past. He's solved the riddle of the Sphinx, who put a terrible curse just before he arrived in the city. He came to the city and solved that, the famous riddle of the Sphinx. Oedipus is sent for guidance from the oracle of Apollo at Delphi, and he sent Creon. And Creon comes back and says that the problem is the city is polluted, and the city must get rid of the killers. And it's pretty opaque at the beginning, and it's not at all clear who this refers to. We then get Tiresias, the priest of Apollo, and he is a great seer, a great prophet, and he's blind, but he has the gift of insight. So he has no sight, but his insight. And Tiresias asks him what this strange oracle from Apollo means, and Tiresias really doesn't want to say. Increasingly, Oedipus gets angry, and then another feature of Oedipus's character is then revealed, and that is his excessive anger. And this is something of what he says to Tiresias. He accuses him, or rather, this is what Tiresias, in response to Oedipus's challenge, this is what Tiresias says back to Oedipus. He's been prodded by him, doesn't want to say, but in the end, this is what he says. Revealed at last, brother and father both, to the children he embraces, to his mother, son and husband both, he sowed the loins his father sowed, he spilled his father's blood. Go in and reflect on that and solve that. And if you find I've lied from this day onward, call the prophet blind. Well, this imagery of blindness, of course, comes to have great power later in the play. So Oedipus gradually comes to realise who he is. He rejects his mother's words. He's driven onwards by his great desire to know. There's been more than one prophecy in his life. He was brought up in Corinth because he'd been cast out by his mother and father, Jocasta and Laius, but he tried to avoid that by leaving Corinth from the parents that he thought were his parents. The prophecy was that he would kill his father and marry his mother. So after a series of events, including a row at a crossroads where he threw an old man out of his carriage, a road rage incident, to put it facetiously, but in that incident, Oedipus's anger comes to the fore again, and he kills that old man, who it turns out is his father, thus fulfilling the prophecy. Now, there are many things that are bad about all this. Oedipus has too much power. The support that he receives from his people is pretty much uncritical. His temper is short and he's unreasonable, and he behaves appallingly to Creon, accusing him of treachery, and to Tiresias, mocking his blindness. He behaves awfully towards the shepherds who come and eventually reveal who Oedipus actually is. Well, in the end, Oedipus does realise who he is. Jocasta goes inside the palace, his mother, and she hangs herself when she realises. Oedipus then finds her, stabs himself in the eyes with the pins from his mother's dress, so he's unable to look at the field which he has ploughed, which is Sophocles' grim image of all that. And he then comes out and pleads for things at the end of the play. What can we learn from all this? Well, Sophocles warns us about the power of a tyrannos, the power of a king, about investing too much power, too much reverence in one man. Perhaps he had Pericles and others in his mind at the time when the play was first produced, but maybe we should be thinking about that. How much power do we invest in our leaders? Might there be skeletons in the closet that we don't yet know? There's a warning about respecting the law and the will of the gods here again. And there is another warning which comes right at the end of the play. This is the final chorus of Oedipus the King, and this is what the chorus, who are the citizens of Thebes, this is what they say. People of Thebes, my countrymen, look on Oedipus. He solved the famous riddle with his brilliance. He rose to power, a man beyond all power. Who could behold his greatness without envy? Now what a black sea of terror has overwhelmed him. Now as we keep our watch and wait till the final day, count no man happy till he dies, free of pain at last. And that rather depressing message makes us think that just when we think things are going so well, we should take care, because they might not be. Just when we thought our country was going great guns, then along comes the coronavirus, and look where we are now.